दोस्तों गुड मॉर्निंग। आई एम गोइंग टू टॉक टू यू अबाउट पाकिस्तान। पाकिस्तान आप जानते हो कि इंडिया का नेबर है एंड वी हैव वेरी क्लोज एंशियंट टाइज विद पाकिस्तान बिकॉज फॉर ऑलमोस्ट सिंस द dawn of the Indian subcontinent, पाकिस्तान एंड इंडिया वाज वन कंट्री। पर जब अंग्रेज इंडिया में आए तो दे वांटेड टू परपेचुएट द रूल एंड उन्होंने एक पॉलिसी बनाया, डिवाइड एंड रूल, yani divide the country, and they are the ones who created division between the Hindus and the Muslims. अगर आप पहले देखिए, for almost 1000 years the Mughal dynasty was ruling and then the Marathas were ruling, but there was no division between the Hindus and the Muslims. In fact, जो 1857 battle जो हुआ था, the famous mutiny of the Indian army, was a joint effort of the Hindus and the Muslims, and both of the clans accepted Bahadur Shah as the titular head of the battle against the British. पर जब अंग्रेज़ों को पता चला कि खैर हमारा यहाँ राज खत्म होने वाला है, so they left a parting kit in dividing the country to two, in so-called a Muslim majority Pakistan and Hindu majority India. But ये एक artificial division थी, because there were more Muslims left behind in India than were in Pakistan. And Pakistan was broken into two parts earlier. One was East Pakistan, the other was West Pakistan. And though both followed the Islamic faith, the language of both the parts was different. In the West, they spoke Punjabi and Urdu, while in Bengal, that is East Pakistan, they spoke Bengali. So there had to be a division, and they broke up also into two. So Bangladesh, we can keep out this discussion, concentrate on Pakistan as it is. Now there is also no denying the fact that 99% of the Pakistanis, Muslims, trace their roots to Hinduism. But उनको ये बात अच्छी नहीं लगती. They want to say that we are not from the Hindus. How can you say that? That is a genetic fact. They claim we are closer to the Turks or the Arabs. I mean, it's laughable. They are basically from Hindu stock, and Hindu kingdoms ruled these areas for centuries. Anyway, the British were able to create the division, and the division was done in a very, very haphazard manner, because the Indian leadership gave in to all the demands of the Muslims. That is Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Jinnah wanted to be Prime Minister of India, that's a known fact, but the Congress was not ready to accept it. Rather, Sardar Patel and Jawaharlal Nehru were not in favor of this, and so the division of was a fait accompli, and Jinnah became the first Governor General of Pakistan, and here we had Lord Mountbatten. Now, bringing Lord Mountbatten as Governor General of India by Nehru and Patel was a blunder, because as far as I am aware, Lord Mountbatten had kinship with the British royal family. His loyalty was to England, to the British Empire. He was not bothered about India. So he played the agenda card. And the Labour Party, which was in power at that time, also felt that the time had come wherein India should not be able to rise up. And they went around talking of the fact that there's an unfinished agenda of partition, and that is Kashmir. In other words, they wanted that Kashmir should be given to Pakistan because it was a Muslim majority state. But they forgot the fact that millions of Muslims were left behind in Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh. What about them? So this was a very artificial creation, that is Pakistan. And as all artificial creations do not last, this state is also tottering on the brink of getting finished. Pakistan, unlike India, did not have the democracy which Nehru brought in here. I mean, I will say that was one good thing which Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru did. But apart from that, I don't think he did anything good otherwise. While in Pakistan, there was instability throughout. Governments came and they went away, and some of their prime ministers were assassinated. We know the case of Liaquat Ali Khan, who was shot dead in a park in Peshawar. He was the Prime Minister of Pakistan in 1951, and then it has been a downhill all the way. Some stability came when General Ayub Khan took over after military coup d'etat in 1958. Ayub was a progressive man, and I think he was educated in Sandhurst, and he joined the Indian Army, and then he was made the chief of the Pakistan Army. But that was a blunder because Ayub was a very ambitious man, and he deposed the president, who was also an army officer, Major General Iskandar Mirza, packed him off to exile and took over power. He ruled for 10 years, and Pakistanis call it the decade of progress. Well, I'll say there was some progress because he brought in some very good laws like the Family Ordinance, in which he restricted the plurality of wives for the men. I mean, that's a very good thing he did. But otherwise, he also was of the view that Kashmir can be captured very easily. Now, Kashmir is the bone of contention between India and Pakistan, but there are so many other things. There are very deep roots. In 1947-48, the biggest transmigrations of population took place in Punjab. I mean, the rest of India, the Muslims are pretty safe and they had a jolly good time. But in Punjab, it was terrible, and the Muslims of Punjab had to leave and go away to Pakistan, and the Hindus and Sikhs in Pakistan had to come to India. It was a mass migration of about 4 million people. And there were murders, rapes, abductions, all this continued. And under the very nose of the British Army, the British Indian Army, and now Lord Mountbatten. Now, I think if Mountbatten really wanted to stop all this mayhem, he could have done it. But I think he was following an agenda of the Crown and of the British government, and so things were allowed to just drag on. There was widespread rioting, killing, and all that, and that scar continues even now. The people in Punjab, in India, have not forgotten it, and neither have the Pakistanis forgotten it. On top of it, certain other problems have come up because Pakistan all the time felt that they were the de facto inheritors of the Muslim rulers in India, which is not a fact at all. The Mughal dynasty ruled India definitely, but by and large they were fair and square. I'll say this much about it. Well, everything was weighted in favor of the Muslims. That's part of the game because the Hindus had lost the battles with the Muslims. But things continued for 1,000 years, I think, and there was a relative peace. And even in the 19th century and early 20th century, we have heard of any riots between Hindus and Sikhs and all that, which started after 1940, more so when partition began to loom in the front, which the British Crown was very eager to give. So, gentlemen, both the states have taken off from the roots there, and then Pakistan thought they would be able to claim Kashmir, but they failed. And the Indians under Nehru were very, very easygoing. I think they had no strategic concept, particularly Panditji. And so India went to cede. That is precisely what happened. And it allowed Kashmir to slip out of its grasp. With the result, Pakistan has been able to take 1/3 of Kashmir, and foolishly, another 1/3 of Kashmir has been taken over by China, that is the Aksai Chin area. And Nehru didn't know anything about it. Now, one can keep blaming Nehru, anything, but these are the facts of history. You can blame anybody, but these are the facts of history. So, Pakistan claims the entire Kashmir. And India never claimed Azad Kashmir. It is only now when the BJP government has come that they start talking about Azad Kashmir. And I will tell listeners that in 1948, when the battle was on in the Kashmir Valley and the Indian army was driving the Pakistanis out, we were just 60 miles away from Muzaffarpur, which is the capital of the so-called Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. But Nehru agreed for a ceasefire. Rather, he brought about a ceasefire because he approached the United Nations, and the UN Security Council ordered a ceasefire and a plebiscite. Now, Pakistan has been harping on this because they say we never went to the United Nations, you went, and now you honor the agreements or the resolutions of the Security Council. India cannot accept those resolutions now because the ground realities are different. Things have changed. And India is integrating Kashmir more and more into India. Probably if India had integrated Kashmir way back in 47, 48, at that time, there would have been no Kashmir problem. But now there is a problem, and that is a major problem. Now, Pakistan as it is has been ruled successively by the army. Now, as I told you, the Ayub Khan, when he came in power, did brought about some good, but then he left in disgrace. He couldn't win the 65 war against India, and then he had to step down and he brought his boutique in, that is General Yahya Khan. I think this man was a bit of a buffoon, you can say whatever it is, but since he was general of the Pakistan Army, I would say he would be having some intelligence. And but unfortunately, the 1970 election which took place in Pakistan, I think, is a watershed because the majority was won by the Awami Party and Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, but they didn't want to make him the Prime Minister of Pakistan. So from that time onward to 2024, the same story is continuing. What has happened this year? The same thing. Imran Khan's party has been banned from contesting the election under their symbol. Imran Khan himself has been put in jail. The same thing was happened at that time when Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was put in jail. He was tried for treason against the state and sentenced to death. But of course, all that was changed once East Pakistan broke away and Sheikh Mujib went and became the president of the newly formed state of Bangladesh. But here also the same thing is happening now. Imran Khan is in jail on detained for I think 20 odd years, or God knows how many years he's been sent in. And at the same time, despite the fact that his party was not allowed to contest on its symbol, they have won the maximum number of seats, almost 92 seats, in the National Assembly. Now, this is a slap in the face of the Pakistan Army. I mean, General Munir is keep on talking anything here and there, and Nawaz Sharif and Zardari and Bhutto must keep blacking, we have won, but everybody knows what's the truth behind. The 24 election was rigged, and one of the election commissioner has gone on record and said that the elections are rigged in the sense that the party of Imran Khan was leading in so many constituencies by almost thousands of votes, and then the order came and everything changed overnight. So I thought Imran would have perhaps won 160 seats in the assembly, but they reduced it to about 92 by this, manipulation. And now a government is going to be set up in Pakistan, which is going to be a combined government, a coalition government between the party of Nawaz Sharif as well as the PP, the People's Party of Zardari and Bhutto. And the younger brother of Nawaz Sharif, that is Shahbaz Sharif, will be the Prime Minister. He was Prime Minister earlier for 16 months, and his performance at that time was a big zero, and you can't expect anything more from him now. Nawaz Sharif had come back to Pakistan thinking that he's going to get a thumping majority, but he didn't get anything, so he decided to just be out. He didn't want to continue as the Prime Minister because he knew that at the back is going to be the Pakistan Army, and so this is only a facade. Now, I was talking about what happens between India and Pakistan. As I've already told you that the roots of partition and the scars are very deep. And then we had the Kashmir problem created, of course, by India, but at the same time blown up by Pakistan. And now the situation is what is going to happen. Imran Khan, when he was the Prime Minister of Pakistan, had been talking of that I will have talk with Modi and all that. But when India abolished Article 370, he backed down and then he became the enemy of India. He was supposed to be a man of the establishment, But that was all. The establishment that the Pakistan Army threw him out, and he is now in jail. And we have got Shahbaz Bhutto and Bhutto coming in, both of them. Bhutto may be again made the foreign minister. I'm a little surprised about Bhutto, who's the grandson of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. Bilawal Bhutto, I think, has forgotten what was done to his grandfather. He was not only ousted in a military coup by General Ziaul Haq, but he was fixed on a false trial of murder, and for a murder he had not committed. And the trial is supposed to commence in the Sessions Court, commenced in the High Court. I mean, you can just imagine it. Because the aim was to hang Bhutto, and they did it. I hope Bilawal Bhutto will realize this thing and be a little more circumspect, because there's no point in pandering to the establishment that is the army, that is General Munir. As I've told you earlier also, and people can read the history books, the Pakistan army never won a war in its history. In 75 years, they lost half the country. It's a world record. At the same time, they want to continue to be in power. It's not a professional army at all. They've not been able to fight the terrorists, and they are trying to cobble up a majority and look up a state, put a civilian government there. But that government got no power, no authority to negotiate anything, nothing. And what for these elections were held in that case, I want to ask. Because if you're not going to honor the verdict of the people, what next? Now, as far as India's relationship is concerned with Pakistan, I think India has really forgotten about Pakistan. We are not obsessed with Pakistan at all. The general feeling in India is live and let die. If you want to die, do whatever you think, continue. We are not interested in you. But Pakistan is in serious problem economically. Partly it's because of corruption, which is monumental proportion. Secondly, it's inefficiency. Third is the Pakistan army. The army controls Pakistan. There's an old saying, there are only three A's which control Pakistan, that is Allah, Army, and America. America's got an axe to grind, and look at the way the Americans went around and said that the election is very representative. I mean, it beats my imagination that Americans talk anything like this. But then, one should be wary of the Americans. I've already said repeatedly, they are the biggest double crossers in world history. So they still have fond memories of Pakistan, despite the fact that Pakistan is supporting the Haqqani faction in Afghanistan. At the same time, they're supporting America, and the Haqqani faction was going around killing the American soldiers, and the Americans were just sitting and blinking. And they lost the war in Afghanistan. They have to lose it once you have that sort of an approach. So, gentlemen, what's going to happen now? The new Prime Minister's come. I don't think there's going to be any change in the relationship with India, because Pakistan is not on an equal footing with India. That's number one. Number two, Pakistan is beset by problems which it cannot solve. There is an ethnic problem in Pakistan. The Baluch Liberation Army is fighting to break away from Pakistan in Baluchistan. In the northwest frontier, the Taliban is in force, and in a number of places the writ of the Pakistan government is run. And even in Sindh, the people are restive. In Punjab, which is the bastion of the Muslim League, Bhutto's party's got no say there at all. And I do not know what's going to happen, because basically the economy has tanked, and Pakistan now has billions of dollars to pay back in debt. I don't think they have money they're going to pay back at all. Well, Saudi Arabia and the UAE, we may help them out to an extent, but up to what extent? The loans which they have taken are massive, gigantic, and China is going to have its pound of flesh. The Chinese, I think, must be wondering that we made a big mistake investing in Pakistan. But then the Chinese economy also is now tanking, and they'll have to think twice, because they're going to get a penny out of the Pakistan. Now, what is Pakistan going to do next? This is only a caretaker government, gentlemen. Caretaker in the sense they're going to be there for some time, maybe 6 months, and then they will be thrown out because the general people in Pakistan are now feeling that they have been cheated out of the result of the election. Everybody's got a perception that the winner was Imran Khan, but Shahbaz Sharif is going to sit in the chair, and he's a very, very uncharismatic man. I'm not a supporter of Imran Khan. He had an excellent opportunity to make up with India, but he allowed it to drift away. And now he's just sitting there and he doesn't know what to do. I won't be surprised if they try to eliminate him also by any other means. As you all know, there was already one attempt on his life a couple of months back when he was leading the march from Lahore to Peshawar. Anything can happen. I hope to God that he doesn't meet the fate of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. And I have not yet understood why Bilawal Bhutto should try to be part of the government which is dominated by the army. What the hell is he going to do there? I mean, he's got nothing to say, even as foreign minister. He's just going to mouth some anti-India slogans and all that. I mean, is that what the aim? The aim is to go forward. So Pakistan is going to look back to 1947 riots and all that and out to Kashmir and all that. It's never going to get. So what is the solution now? I have a feeling, gentlemen, that Pakistan is going to have a civil war. I mean, it's not something out of the way I'm stating. It is something which is very, very likely. A civil war in Pakistan. And that will mean the breakup of the country. We'll have to wait and watch when this momentous event, the breakup of Pakistan, takes place. But it is on the cards. And Pakistani listeners who are listening to me, I think must realize that you can't continue your policy by saying hate India. It's not the way to go forward. You have to make up with the neighbors and then lift up the lot of the people. But look at the way the Pakistan economy is going. One Indian conglomerate of the Tata Group has got an economy which is a budget which is bigger than the entire state of Pakistan. So you can well imagine that conglomerate is the Tata Group, and their turnover and assets are more than the economy of Pakistan. So Pakistan should realize this position, try to improve the lot of the people, but I'm afraid they are so much blinded by hate that there's nothing that they can look forward to the people. There's no silver lining on the cloud. And these are the portents where Pakistan is likely to break up. There will be civil war. We'll have to wait and see what happens. The Americans will try their level best to help Pakistan. They've been doing it all the time. But mind you, gentlemen, America is on its last legs. I'll make a video on that later. Too long have the Americans fooled the world. And now the birds are going to come home to roost. I hope, gentlemen, you like this video. If you like it, please share it with your friends. Come back later for more. In the meanwhile, I'll say goodbye and God bless and take care.